Hi guys, how you doing? Back here at St James's Park today, the day after what felt like transfer deadline day, and it feels like we're just kind of mopping up from what happened yesterday. Plenty has happened overnight, but I'm going to bring you the exclusive transfer news that we brought to you on Sky Sports News earlier on today, around about lunchtime. And that is that Newcastle are in talks with a Saudi Pro League club. I'm not exactly sure who. One source tells me it's Al Ittihad, but I'm not exactly sure at this stage, so I haven't committed a name to the report. But Newcastle are in talks, as I understand it, with a Saudi Pro League club over the potential sale of Miggy Almiron. Now, of course, Almiron's been at the club for over 5 years now. Remember, he arrived at the end of January, deadline day, in the helicopter that day, and you know, it's been an up and down journey for him at the football club. He could have left in January. Of course, there was a offer on the table from Al Shabab back in January, which I think the club were happy to accept, but Almiron himself decided that he wanted to dig his heels in, stay until the end of the season, and then potentially further and see what happens. But look, it's my understanding that there's real interest here. Dialogue is in place between the clubs, and if an agreement is reached between both parties and player, this is a deal that we could see move fairly quickly. The Saudi Pro League transfer window opens today, July the 1st, so they are free to sign players now. And you know, reading between the lines, if Newcastle are able to get this deal pushed through quite quickly, then they can use the transfer fee from that as mitigation to their PSR issues. Now, while it falls after the deadline of midnight last night, when they managed to push through deals for Yankuba Minteh and Elliot Anderson out the door, while it falls after midnight into today, I believe that Newcastle could potentially use it as like mitigation and say, look, we were trying to sell players, we were trying to get players out the door, we managed to get 2 or 3 out yesterday, over the weekend, and then Almiron's gone quite soon after that. So look, as I say, nothing else has come out anywhere else yet, so I'm kind of going to follow my sword if this is wrong, but it sounds as though there's something in this, and this could be Almiron's time to leave the club after, as I say, more than 5 years at the football club. So look, I think you guys, just looking at some of the responses on Twitter to the initial story, would probably be quite pleased for his time to come to an end. I think you all agree that he's been a good servant, he's done a good job. You know, he was great a couple of years ago in that run up to the Champions League with some really, really important goals in the football club. I remember actually he received, I think he got goal of the month and player of the month in the same month back in, must have been September, October 2022. So look, he's had his good times and his down times. It took him ages to open his scoring account, and look, I think it's generally felt that Newcastle probably need a little bit of an upgrade on him in that position, wide right. You know, while he's done a good job, probably needs someone new, someone fresh, someone with new ideas, and perhaps at 30 years old it is maybe Almiron's time to go now. Maybe he'll think that at 30 he's still got a couple of years left in the Premier League or in Europe before he goes to the Saudi Pro League. But look, I think if the deal is lucrative enough, and him knowing that the club were happy for him to leave in January, it might just be time for him to sort of shake hands and say, you know, thanks for everything, and I'm moving on. So let's see what the next sort of hours and days bring on this one. But yeah, I think it's fairly advanced, the talks, and you know, if Newcastle manage to get Almiron out the door, he'll follow Minteh and Anderson yesterday and ensure that any PSR issues will be done and dusted with. You know, I think the club felt that there was enough done over the weekend, but if they are able to use Almiron as mitigation should it go through, well, look, I'm talking here like it's definitely done, and it's not definitely done yet, but it feels like it's fairly advanced, and Almiron could be another set to go. So you know, of all the players you could lose, Almiron is probably one that you would be okay with, given the fact that Newcastle need a right winger, and he's probably still seen as part of the old guard here. You know, brought in under Steve Bruce. In fact, he was brought in under Rafa, wasn't he? Actually, they were thinking brought in under Rafa, lived through Steve Bruce, and then into Eddie Howe. So there's probably a feeling that Newcastle do need to move sort of onwards and upwards, and perhaps the same for Almiron as well. Lovely guy. Really, really nice. Whenever I've spoken to him, I've enjoyed his company, even though he doesn't speak much English. But yeah, I think if this is the case, time for him to move on. And if this one does fall through now, I would be surprised to see him go maybe later on in this transfer window, as Newcastle look to sort of revamp and rehaul the squad. One other piece of news, I'm sure you're all aware, but Dan Ashworth, of course, is set to join Manchester United. That after a compromise was reached, I think Newcastle felt their hands were tied a little bit with the PSR situation, and it was for them worthwhile getting the money in now rather than waiting until after arbitration, or keeping it going right until the end of the summer and haggling on for an extra 3, 4, 5 whatever million. So look, I think the deal's probably quite attractive to Manchester United. They probably haven't had to pay as much as they thought they would in terms of compensation, but it's helped Newcastle United in their PSR situation and getting him out the door as well. So look, difficult few days at the football club. I would suggest difficult week. How they got themselves into this situation, then, you know, time will tell. Those questions are going to have to be asked, but it has felt very frantic these last few days, and the loss of guys like Elliot Anderson and Minty, who they probably would have liked to have given a chance here to, maybe not so much Almiron because it's probably his time to go, and then the sporting director as well, earlier than they wanted to. They wanted to dig their heels in a little bit longer and try and get more money at Manchester United, but the fact that they pushed those deals through all so quickly shows how desperate it was and how much they didn't want that points deduction. So there you have it. Talks taking place between Saudi Pro League club and Miggy Almiron. Let's see what it brings. Hopefully for you guys you get your wish, but as I say, that's where it is at this moment in time. Okay guys, speak to you soon. It feels like transfer deadline day this. It's been pretty mental these last few days, so hopefully things quieten down for a little bit and Newcastle can try and get to their feet under the desk and try and bring some new players in to replace these guys who have all departed at the weekend. Okay guys, leave your comments below on the Almiron situation, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.